Well, good morning, John. I'm going live on YouTube right now, so it's getting there. And also, I am finding out cool new things about my presentation mode. There's about three other people that are signed up for today, and sometimes those other people show up. So that's kind of the lay of what's going on. You can chime in anytime you'd like and say hi. All right, now it's live. I will. Bam. Okay. So there's that. There's the repetition of all that good stuff. Um, okay, what else am I thinking here? All right, so I got my presentation. Now the presentation is really just kind of this backdrop in order to help me kind of keep track of what's going on in the conversation. It's just an aid. Um, but one of the things I found out is if I open this up, it gives like this cool um, presentation option where I can see the presentation, and then on this other screen that I have over here, it'll give me what's coming up next in the presentation, which is pretty cool. So if I want to start the presentation, slideshow. Okay, start from first slide. Shift F5. Okay, is start from current slide. So Shift F5. Shift F5. Okay, it still presents it over there. And it gives me this kind of cool. What if I can still get around it? And go to my Zoom, for instance. Yes. All right. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's presenting. Now I'm going to share it. You there, John? Just
Yes.
checking so that I could. Oh, okay. Good morning, John.
Thank you. Good morning to you too. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I just wanted to. I'm going to go through a little bit of the introduction stuff just because of continuity, and then I just wanted to make sure that when I do say, "Hey," and then give your presentation, you'll be available. So what you could do is while I'm talking, do you have a website already?
No.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Go ahead and just put whatever information, like your name or something, in the chat, and or just say hi if you want. And then what I'm going to do is, if I ever post that part on YouTube, it could be also the introduction for you. So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my presentation, which I think I'm sharing now, right? Um, I've got the green light on, right? It's a sharing. No, I don't think I'm sharing it yet. 1 and 2. Okay, I want screen 2. Yeah, interesting. Okay, all right. Now I see the green border around my stuff here, and my little faces became small here in the corner. All right, I'm pretty impressed with the setup I've got going on here. In fact, I'm going to show just to kind of give the audience an idea what's going on. This is the other screen I have sharing, or I have up. And so I'm seeing the presentation on one screen, and the next one's coming up. And there's all this information at the bottom. So recording live right now on YouTube. The attendees may use social media. You can use this on your own social media, whatever. And that's just kind of just saying, like, nothing here is confidential. And then chat all be repasted on YouTube description if I get to it. Okay, great. So chat. Okay, if I get to it. Yeah, which is something I did at the very beginning, but I haven't done much recently. All right, so the norms. The idea is that we want to engage challenges. We're going to tend to a whim so people can come and go. The big thing about this is, for one, I want the people that come to just enjoy it when they're here and not feel obligated to come back again, because I want you to come because you want to come, not because you feel like you have to. And that's great. The other thing is right now I'm doing a lot of this is a kind of a way to get out there and talk to people and during this time of COVID, and then give other people a place to just chit chat. So it's really kind of low. Oh, I thought I turned off the waiting room. I'm now admitting someone else. Huh. Let me go to my settings here. Uh, Good morning, Rob. I'm in the middle of my spiel, but I just realized that I thought I disabled waiting room, and I guess I didn't, because I had to introduce you both in there. I love the alphabet.
We'll continue your spiel then.
Yeah. This screen is the presenter's screen, and I have over here on my second screen the actual presentation. But this is so fun. I'm going to leave this one up as the main sharing. So it's got all this cool information. Anyway, so yeah, tend to whim. Like Rob here and John, you guys have both been here before. Just kind of come whenever you feel like it. Again, that's because I want you to want to come and enjoy it when you come and not feel obligated or like you feel guilty for not being here. But also because this is all sort of a loosey-goosey thing I'm doing just to kind of build up my understanding of how this all works and create a space that I can connect with people and other people can connect with each other. Eventually I might start advertising and making it more of a big deal, but it's really low key, those who show up. So connect your business with the topic, brag about your work. That's another big thing I like about this is it's a way for me to find out what you do. You get to hear a little bit about what I do, and hopefully I can make you shine better that way. So I am low maintenance. So this is all, these slides are just to kind of help remind me because I'm ADHD. Intro. Okay, attending greetings. Oh, so this is kind of the way it's going to go. I'm going to do a bit of intro, which I kind of already done. This is the pre-intro. And then attendee greeting. You guys will share your information on there. Thanks, John, for putting your mission up already. And open discussion loosely on the topic. I'll try and bring it back there when I can. And your job is to try and tie it into your business or whatever you'd like. And then action asks is at 9:50, which is just a 10-second thing, kind of to wrap it up. Here we go. So Adam's Friday Flow, welcome to Adam's Friday Flow. Our challenge question today was, what's your priorities with making the world better? I feel like I could have done that better grammatically. That's not probably my hugest priority, but it's something I'd like. Anyway, of the 3 people that at the time had signed up, there was only 1 response, which is good. I have something to work off of, and those that didn't get responses, I understand. We're busy people. So building community as a starting point. And if that person shows up, they can claim it, but they haven't shown up yet, as far as I can tell. All right, so and so this is what we're going to do is just kind of because this is sort of a business interaction stuff and getting to see talk to people out there. I'd like to give you the floor. And I'm going to go back to that. So in order to do that, post your website or whatever you'd like in the chat, and then I'll pull that up when it's your turn. Also, if you post it in the chat, I know which order to go in. So currently, I have 2 people already have their stuff in the chat, and of course mine is first because I get to present the show. And yeah, so that's the order. And so you post that in there. I'll pull up your website if you have one. Again, a note, this will be publishable. So that means if I do actually go ahead and go back to YouTube and put the information in, which I've done in the past, but I've kind of let it slide for recently, I'll be able to put this on YouTube, and you'd be happy to have that information for people to, reach out to you and get to know you more. However you'd like. It's like, if you have a website, that'd be great, because then I'll add to our presentation. Right. Cool. So that's the publishable part. Now, when you actually talk, what I'm going to ask for is your name. And this is a little different than usual for most people, but it's kind of the thing I do, which is I want to know your quest. So what is it that your business, what's your big goal of like what you're trying to do with your business? And then the nitty bitty parts, nitty gritty. Yeah. The itty bitty nitty gritty parts. Like, how does your business work? Just give kind of a one chunk of something you're interested in talking about how your business works. Because I'm all about talking about flow and getting people to understand your business and you to understand what you want to get done. So that is about the topic. And so I'm going to go back to the intros. Can I do that? Oh, I'm going to push this button. There we go. All right, so those intros. And I will start with mine. I've got my link right here. Oh, does it not work on that part? Oh, here we go. This is it. This is the thing. So this is the first time I've had this presentation mode up in the background. So I'm going to switch my share because I'm just sharing that one screen. And I'm going to share this guy. Bam. And I opened it up 5 times. My internet is a little slow here, so I'm glad that I'm able to do all these things right now. here's my current website. This thing is going to be updated here soon. I am working on a new logo, which I'd love to pull up and ask you guys' opinion about in a bit if I remember to do that, and if you guys have time to chit chat about that. But anyway, so this is the logo I've got now, and this is kind of the thing. And my main thing is this event. But you can see the last time I put anything on here was in August, and then in November I did one too. But I'd been doing kind of consistently for a while of posting about this chat because I thought that was going to be my thing for COVID. And then I kind of gave it up. And then here's some reviews to make me look really cool. And this is sort of some blurb that I made up a while ago that probably is not exactly straight on brand, but there you are. And so this is a website that I got right away for free from Google when I signed up for Google Business. And that's all the work I wanted because this was just a placeholder. And that's kind of what I'm about. I'm about figuring out what your priorities are and then getting to the things you want to get to. And then as you go, you can kind of hone the other stuff like this. I'm finally getting to update that. And that's what I get to do. So the next person up is John. So John, you don't have a website or anything, but I'll pull up 1 million cups because, no, I'm not. I'm gonna take the share down and then you can talk.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, John. So what is your quest and then how does it work? Like, what are
Well,
the-
my quest is recovering from being retired. And
way to be.
well, let me tell you, at first I was excited, then I got bored, then I
Yeah.
got into really working on doing some software training that I had never had time to do before. And
Yeah.
that was really fun. Now I'm good enough at what I'm doing with software that I'd like to put it out to the rest of somebody else because I'm getting a little tired of the homemade projects. So that would be fun for me.
Yeah.
And then in the background, I've been a long time interested in hydroponic farming, and there is a company that makes containers for hydroponic gardening that you can get into as a business, and I would be really interested in that. But I understand the technical part of that, but how you market those kind of products to the rest of the world, that's an area that I don't know much about, and so I'd love to find somebody who'd like to partner with me on that.
That's cool. And have you done any looking out there, or is this just mini hydroponics? Is some interesting kind of stuff.
I
That's
have
pretty
looked at
cool.
hydroponics. I have grown some hydroponic stuff in a basement when I was in Washington State, but I came to the conclusion that you need to think about it pretty carefully. It needs a lot of light, and that's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And in the early days of that, if you suddenly started using energy in your own household, sorry, that telephone,
Oh, that's fine.
you got called by the police because they thought you were growing marijuana.
Yep.
And that's
what's that, Colby?
Go ahead.
What?
What did you say something about that?
No, I was just
I
chuckling.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's I'm still trying to recover from this whole business of that I don't have a regular job, and how to adjust to that, and
Sneak back in.
so I'm trying to find some. There must be some volunteer work that I could do in
Right.
the software area, and
Yeah.
so
And
that's
did-
what I'm about. And
And
I I had run a software consulting company for many years, in which basically I went out and pounded on doors until I got a job that I thought I could do, and then I'd do the job. And of course, It's the classic one-man consulting business. When you got through with that, you notice, oh, I haven't done any marketing. So then you got to go out and do marketing and sales again. And so you have these big gaps. And that didn't work so well. But we paid everybody and we managed to make a little income along the way. So I've had a lot of fun. I tell you, electronics has been a hobby which turned into an occupation, and it's always been really good to me.
There's some great stuff I want to get back to with that, but I'm going to have everyone else introduce themselves.
Okay.
And so the next person has their stuff up is Rob, and here is your site.
Oh, why, thank you.
My privilege. It's very white right now.
Well, real quick, I was gonna say, John, I mean, have you been in on aeroponics at all? Have you looked into that?
I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I was a little interested in that myself, I guess a year or so ago. And I don't know, I think logistically, I just don't have the time to do that stuff. But more power to you to figure that out and get that done. Because that's a fun project to try and do. Obviously, you know, our aeroponics or hydroponics is obviously a little more efficient in the way you grow things. But so that's super interesting stuff. But Rob Hill, Van Dyke Mortgage, that's my stuff. And I guess my quest with my business is obviously to get more business in any way, shape, or form I can. And the nitty gritty of how that happens and how that works, mostly what I'm focusing on right now is dealing with the capacity that I have right now, and then sort of removing myself from the picture as I go. So that way, I can focus more of my efforts on the marketing aspect and getting more of that business coming in. That's
cool.
My story in a nutshell. If I don't know how much more you needed me to go into there, Adam, but
when you say that, I think of Austin Powers. That's not me in a nutshell. This is me in a nutshell. Anyway, that's great. Yeah, no, that's pretty good. So this aeroponics things you mentioned, since you brought it up,
yeah, it's obviously the same or similar. Yeah, similar concept to hydro. It's just instead of, I guess, like the plants growing basically straight out of water, like you would see a potato in a jar. On that picture you just clicked on, it's like just a mist. So it's not like super different. I mean, obviously you hear air and you think it's all air, but I don't know. It uses like 99% or 90 some odd percent less water or something like that. And
wow. And water is like the big commodity of the future, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and this would be pretty cool if that could be scaled up and actually done correctly. But I think my struggle with it was like the nutrients that you're supposed to put in the water. So obviously, you have the nutrients in the soil that needs to get into the plants somehow. So I don't know. Well, there's your green friendly stuff there, John.
Yeah.
Green friendly.
Thinking you're growing.
I have the same problem.
Yeah. Love Ida. And it's also like, talking about like products like hemp and I think CBD has a similar effect of like, people who want the THC in marijuana actually don't want those other products because they crossbreed and downplay the active chemical that messes with your head. So that's it's kind of funny. It's kind of sad that the whole plant has gotten all of this bad press, but when actually using it for some other things might actually make it less potent. Great, thanks, Rob and Kobe. Here's your website coming up. What's your name, your quest, and how do you make it happen?
So I'm Colby Smith, and what I do is I partner with businesses. My quest is typically to work with businesses that are either just starting out or that have gotten kind of stagnant and need that little oomph. And so what I do is I work with them, and my goal is to to basically take all the marketing and stuff off their hands so they can focus on working with their customers and building that relationship. So I handled what I'll do is I'll work with a company and see if their brand's on target, see if their brand matches who they are as a company, tweak that. We'll talk about who their target audience is, because so often companies are like, you ask them who their target audience is, and they're like, well, everybody. It's like, well, no, that's really not the best way, is going after everybody. So I'll help them refine who their ideal customers are, and then just start building all the marketing materials that both reflect who they are as a company and who their ideal customers are.
There he is, the big cheese. I like it.
That's right.
It's a fun theme you have going on there too. The big cheese and all this great orange.
Well,
and-
as a kid, with the name Colby as a kid, you always got teased.
that
I mean,
happened.
I got called every dairy product imaginable when I was in elementary school through high school.
Good for the
So
bones.
cheese was not a good association when I was growing up.
That's
But once you get
funny.
a little older,
I do.
that kind of changes a little bit, and that's a good way to get people to remember you.
Now you're leaning into it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's excellent. That is so great. Because that's a big thing about too is, taking your limits and seeing how you can make those, leverage them. If you don't know where your limits are, then you can't go any further. Or you can,
Exactly.
but you're just bumbling.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Thank you. I'm looking forward to this. So back to the discussion topic, I will go ahead and after we've introduced ourselves, I'll go back to my share. I'm going to go back to my new favorite presenting screen. You get to see what's coming up too. All right, so the big question here is, and I don't know how this shows up, and so I'll mess with this after I see this in the future, but if you can see the title here, so it's April 30th, and solidarity is my big topic today. And I think it's wonderful that you guys have already brought up hydroponics and aeroponics, because has a lot of what to do with it. And I'm just kind of curious, what do you guys already know about solidarity? I'm going to ask John, what do you know about, have you heard this term before?
No.
Okay. Colby, have you heard this term before?
Yeah.
Okay.
To me, solidarity is where you've got multiple things that are kind of pulled together and tied together, so they work together as one unit.
Okay. This is good for me because this is something I'm planning to identify with, and just knowing what that is. And Rob, have you heard of solidarity before?
Yeah, I think I've heard it in the context of like a social standpoint where, people being exactly as Colby said, together, and like, I stand in solidarity with you because I resonate with whatever your struggle is, type of thing.
Yeah. All right, that's spot on. So that's the way I know of it too. And when I talk about solidarity, it's usually in the context of sustainability, but instead of the focus on just keeping things the same or making things last, we're focusing on how to build other people up. So that's my idea of what solidarity is. And so that's a huge part of my quest in my business, is to like be able to connect with people and be able to bring them up as we're going, and be able to do that in a way that's also in solidarity with the rest of the world, right? Big dreams, good big stuff for me. I love it. So I use this word instead of sustainability, because sustainability sounds like, let's find what the minimum is and just stay there. Whereas solidarity is like, what are we really growing to be? That's my spin on what that actually means. So that's kind of exciting. And so it's really neat you guys brought up these tools that can really make a difference in how we're using our world and using our stuff. And so the people involved is the whole world, but it also could be any particular small group. In science, we talk about a system can be of any size, but it definitely involves me because I'm here. It's also a big place that it became famous in in the Catholic Church in Poland. Before he became the Pope, his name was Wojtyła, Karol Wojtyła, and he was a big part of getting the Communist Party to leave because they used solidarity as a country, and they're kind of like, we're here to like, we're being in unity. It was kind of like non-violent protest in a way, but I don't know how much of it was non-violent actually. But they kind of like together, they continued to go out and do their prayer stuff, even though the communists tried to push it away and push it down. And so that's like one of the roots of where solidarity became really known. So another people is like the Catholic Church, but in general, it's like people and how we use things. So system limits is so the limit is you can't, it's easy for me to talk about being in solidarity with other people, but if other people don't have the same mentality, then that's kind of a hard thing to do. So the limit I'm finding with it is like communicating with other people what actually trying to do with it. And so that's where that limit, and so that's where I think I can really push, which is kind of interesting because Colby, that's what your job is all about, right? You're all about helping people get that word out of whatever they were trying to get out.
Exactly. Yep.
So this is where I write down little notes as we chit chat. So it's open discussion now, and we can go back to any of those things. I'm going to switch my share. How do I close this thing down now? Just push escape. There we go. There we are. Yeah. So this is the John, how does that do you see how that might fit with hydroponics, the solidarity idea?
Yes. One of the interesting things about hydroponics, according to the advertising of these freight farm people that have the containers, is that they actually are water positive. That is, because they are in many cases using some air conditioning, they actually pull more water out of the air than they use. Now that's their hype. I don't know whether that's real. I've got a lot of investigating before I ask somebody else to get involved with me in that project, but that's interesting. And then I have a brother who was a retired PhD physicist and worked a lot in environmental stuff. And as he learned more about environmental issues, my biggest job as a brother was to try to keep him from being depressed, because as more you learn about these world-based problems and the fact that it takes multiple organizations to cooperate together, it's a big task. So I wish you lots of luck, and any way I can help, let me know.
So say that last part again. What's a big task?
Just environmental issues alone. Most farmers recognize that their fields have a limit to growth. That is, they can only put so many cows or so much corn on a particular field, and then they exceed. But we don't seem to have the same feeling about the fact that the earth is a closed environment and that it has limits to growth too.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm a little curious about this water positive thing. So say that again. So you're saying it draws in water from the air?
Okay, so we're in New Mexico, so we don't know what humidity is, but let's suppose you're in the Midwest where it's 60-70% relative humidity.
Yeah, it was sounding like a bad thing for me. Like, I'm not sure if I want to do hydroponics now.
And then you're running an air conditioner to keep the building at the optimal growing temperature for the plant. Then the air conditioner brings water out of the air, and they claim that they are slightly water positive in many areas. Now, that's from one of their presentations. So you've got to take some of that not too seriously. So even if it isn't quite water positive, it uses very little water. I'm pretty much convinced of that.
Yeah. And so aeroponics is just like a. So what'd you hear about aeroponics?
Oh, I've heard about aeroponics before. In fact, what these folks do, I think they're called freight farms. Sorry, I didn't come prepared to discuss at this level, but
Oh no, this is all informal. It's just
okay.
So
yeah, basically they mystify the nutrient solution and blow it by the roots. The roots there have no soil in them, and that's the way the roots get their nutrients. And then they also use LED lights to light the plants, and they use a mixture of, I don't know, 2 different colors of LEDs, because people seem to understand now exactly what spectrum of light, not the full spectrum that the plants need to grow properly.
Huh. That's
Well, it's interesting because my uncle lives in North Carolina, and he spent his whole life as a programmer, and so he's not working full time now, but he still plays with it, and so he started getting into the hydroponics, and he's been doing a lot of that stuff, and he's actually in the process of writing a program that will basically, he wants to take the plant and put it in a closed system, basically surrounded in a plastic bubble or something, where he can write a program that will monitor the plant itself, and so that whenever it starts getting dry or needs nutrients or something, that the program will automatically release that into the system. So that the use, all the water and the chemicals and everything that are used to make a optimum plant are used at a minimum. And it's really kind of an interesting system that he's working on.
I built a controller, actually for 2 different controllers for hydroponic greenhouses, and it's really something to see a half acre under glass, as they say, that's raising tomatoes that are 8 feet tall, and believe me, they're beautiful tomatoes. But those hydroponic were not what I would call conscious of all their environmental impacts, and that they used a spongy material for the roots to grow in, which was essentially solid waste disposal when they were through.
Mm-hmm.
But it did have the advantage that they use very little pesticides and herbicides. He did once get an infection of white flies, and his solution was he found somebody that grows black flies, and believe it or not, black flies attack white flies, and that's how he got rid of his white flies.
Oh, interesting.
That's cool. So the black flies. I wonder how you grew that up. So I kind of think it's neat how you're tying this back in, Colby. You're pointing out that, with technology, you've already seen how the observation can be done through stuff. Have you thought about going that direction with it? I figured that was what got you into it, John.
No, I would like, I've got a retirement income, but I'm finding that my desires have exceeded my income. And so I would like to have something that creates a little bit to the finances.
Yeah. So when to do that, you're thinking about getting into hydroponics. Are you thinking about taking the direction Colby mentioned, which is to get into the technology involved in it, or I should say the digital technology involved in it?
Well, if you believe the hype, they can produce a large amount of vegetables, primarily leafy green vegetables, in a very small area with a very small amount of cost of electricity and so forth. However, you know, you got to take all that with a grain of salt until you've done your spreadsheets. But it sounds like the few places that they've got running now have no trouble in selling all they produce at approximately 20 hours a week worth of work. But I understand how you make all that electric stuff work and how the pumps work and all that. What I don't know is how, once you got the vegetables, how you get it to a customer. So that's the area where I, before I even go further, I need to find somebody who understands that part of the equation and who would be interested in partnering with me.
So you are actually wanting to do the actual farming.
Yes.
Do you have property that you already have for this? Because this sounds like something that Rob would be able to talk to you about.
No, I do not. I'm currently a renter. When we moved down here from Washington State to Albuquerque, thought I had a job, hadn't properly vetted it. I can't really blame it on the person who, quote, offered me the job, but and ended up liking it here.
Where did you come from?
Pullman, Washington.
Pullman, Washington. Okay.
It's right up close to the Canadian border.
I'm gonna look that up now. But yeah, Rob, do you have any advice about that, or do you have any questions?
About the hydroponics?
Location-wise.
Oh, well, I mean, I think it makes sense. It has to be in a more like a humid spot, right? Because it's definitely not wrong. We Burqueños are unfamiliar to humidity, so I mean, it's not like it can't work here, but I feel like it'd be in a much more controlled environment and have a lot more trouble scaling up, I feel. So you're gonna have to like literally do it in a bubble.
Do you have any angle on where he might find a good place to make that happen? Like around here?
Oh, here?
Do you have your finger on the market, or
let me throw in. Basically, this looks like a large semiconductor trailer, and the only outside thing it requires is an electrical hookup and a small amount of water. And so basically it's, you know, in the corner of somebody who has a big parking lot that isn't using all the parking lot would be an ideal location. I don't think the location is so much, but that's probably because I'm ignorant about that. Where I know my real ignorance is on this whole marketing part of the equation.
The part that Colby would know more about.
Yes.
But to push it a little more further, so Rob, do you know of a place that he could park a big trailer?
Without having to pay for the space? I mean,
well, we're about getting revenue into the system. Yeah. Well, if you know of anything, you have his contact information. You shoot a shout out like, yo.
I do loans for houses.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Is that like, you know, have you had? Well, and then I'll take another angle too, because now I'm curious. Have you ever helped with a loan for a parking lot?
Not necessarily a parking lot, but like I've done like off-grid stuff. You can go if your income qualifies for USDA. You can USDA can help out with that.
Say that again. What you said a lot of words with USDA on the end.
Yeah, USDA does residential housing, so they can help out with that as long as your income
Department
is under that. And
Department
then
of Agriculture,
yeah, so
Housing.
yes, so USDA, like you would hear USDA grade A beef, does
Right.
residential housing. So as long as the house is outside of a metropolitan area, and there's literally like a line in the sand. If you go to USDA's eligibility map, you can see.
We're looking at that
If
now.
if you want to zoom in on Albuquerque, you can kind of show.
The
Oh,
eligibility.
yeah, there you go. Second one
I'm
down.
not good at spelling if you haven't figured that out yet. Eligibility.
Just click on the second one down.
I want the map. USDA
Right.
eligibility map. There we are.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got this they couldn't pinpoint me for dyslexia, but they got me on dyscalculia. So they could tell I wasn't tricky enough to get past the number thing, but I'm not good with letters.
hit accept down on the bottom right.
All right. What am I accepting? Do we even know?
It does.
No, it's
It
fine.
never matters these days, right? And yeah, from
Right.
here, you can either type in an address or just zoom in on your local area, and you can see where where it's eligible or not. And basically most of New Mexico outside of Santa Fe and Albuquerque are eligible areas. So
I'm going to show
other
you
than
my
that,
setup. All right, go ahead. You go talk.
a conventional loan you can do off grid as long as there are backups for your things. So battery for solar, like a water haul for a cistern. That's all Fannie Mae cares about when it comes down to a conventional loan. But USDA is probably pretty similar, honestly.
And Fannie Mae, most people know about because of they're so involved in the recession, right?
Yeah, I guess if you're not
Like,
in
that's
the
what-
industry and you don't know anything about Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae is like a weird, it's a private, like a company, but at the same
It's an
time, it's a
acronym.
government entity. It's just got this weird like in between space where it's technically the government because it's got to be regulated heavily, but at the same time, it's a conventional loan. So it's a private loan. It's not government.
So ineligible land is the stuff in the yellow.
Correct.
If you're outside of that, you can park your trailer on it with a loan.
In
that
theory,
what I'm
but to me
getting?
that just sounds like a land loan. If there's no actual structure like that has a foundation on there, so that would be like you'd go to like Ag New Mexico. It's agnewmexico.com or some other type like Farm Bureau does like loans for that. And so if you look in like Edgewood, I've heard of people like pilots who have hangars, like their own little private hangars out in Edgewood or something like that.
Yeah.
There's literally like a little strip of road that these pilots just kind of fly out of. This is just hearsay, by the way. I've never seen this.
Don't quote me. So you're
I know
saying
where
like,
it's at. I'm in Edgewood, so I know where it's at.
Okay.
there you
Right
are.
on. So Cody can confirm.
Good. We have a positive
So-
sighting.
So yeah, so that I think sounds a little more your speed there, John, is plopping your trailer there out in Edgewood on some shack.
But you could get him connected with some great realtors
Right. Yes,
that
there are
would know that area better, and
folks
then
that work out there. Yeah.
then of course they'd all come back to you to make the loan come through. So John, have you thought that far up to like the location and the land stuff for your profitable possibilities?
Yeah, I've thought a little bit about it. Of course, what you got is fresh produce, and one of your biggest selling points is fresh produce. So the question of keeping it close to the consumers. So then how do you do that? So as I drive around, I look at some of these commercial areas and I see that there is some space, and all I really need is a space to park one trailer. And then I've got the issue of hooking up utilities, of course. All the little details that, of course, will end up getting you in the end. But so I'm thinking of wanting to find an industrial area close to some housing area because that's going to be my customers.
So instead of going out of this loan area to get, so within that zone, then in that non-USDA space, Rob, so in the yellow space, would it
Mhm.
still be pretty reasonable to get something in there? What's the big difference between buying in that space if he's wanting to focus in the city as opposed to outside?
Well, at least in this market, your struggle is you're going to put in, like, you're going to probably go over list price. And on, like, I would say that my scope is entirely residential too. So talking about commercial space, I wouldn't be
It's stretching you.
knowledgeable about. I mean,
Yeah.
but if you're just looking to like move a trailer around, I mean, it sounds like you could kind of park it at any Walmart parking lot that's available for overnight parking and get away with that. And then maybe even like trying to market or sell your produce, the downtown rail yards, assuming that's still going to be
A thing.
a farmer's market there. Yeah. So
Oh,
absolutely, like partnering with any given farmer's market that you see. I think there's one off at Wantabo as well. You could always like park it somewhere in a parking lot close by, and
and also
that would be my go.
yeah, I think the rail yards would be really cool. It's if you could park something down there. My pushback too is, John, is what's the advantage of having this? And it's going to be on wheels, you think, or is it going to be like something you can put on wheels?
No, it sits on the ground. It sits on
Yeah,
a
the
minor
container.
foundation. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't move around because once it's installed and working, you don't want to. You can't move it around.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. So, what was the thing? Yeah, so if you could do something like put it in the rail yards and something and have a partnership with that, that'd be pretty cool because that'd be right in location. Have you heard of the rail yards?
I've heard of it. I've driven by it, and never got to the farmers market there. That's maybe we get that done this summer.
Yeah. Colby, have you been to the rail yards?
I have not. I've only
I've seen
been
it too.
back here. I've only been back here for a little over a year now. So I got here
Welcome
right
back.
when COVID was happening.
Yeah.
So I used to live here, but
Yeah.
it's been so long that, I haven't like seen any of these places that have popped up since I was gone.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, it is kind of a recent reuse, and it's been kind of off and on again. But anyway, so back to this, John. I'm curious the savings you expect to have by having it close to the location, as opposed to the savings you might get from what Rob mentioned of having it outside of this yellow zone here.
Well, now you're asking questions that I haven't come to grips with yet myself.
Yeah, write them down. Get the numbers.
What I see is, if I just look at the way my wife does her shopping, that if you have an advantage, it's going to be really fresh, and therefore you've got to be close to the ultimate consumer.
And
either something that they can drive up to, or that you can take advantage. There's a lot of delivery services nowadays.
Yeah. It'd be like your own food truck, right? Kind of sitting there. Someone just pulled up. I would like a fresh cabbage. Thank you. Of course, cabbage can be grown outside pretty easily here. So in the winter. So Colby, here's another thought: is you say you're in Edgewood area, and that is already, we're talking about that being out in that zone. Is there a possibility of a strong farmers market out there?
There is one. It's not huge. But again, it could be one of those things if John's bringing something out that's unique and something that is really high quality and everything.
Yeah,
I think that could be that could easily be the center point of that farmer's market, and everything could
Yeah.
really grow and take off around that. And, it could become the place out
Yeah.
here.
And you could have some advertising built around that real nice and easy.
Exactly. Oh yeah. I mean, if it's centered around, John's stuff, it could certainly be, that can be the main focus of
Yeah.
the draw for people to come to.
You know, something that make me feel really cool is if this all fruitioned to, like, John creating this great resource out in Edgewood, Kobe being able to get it for you, Rob making your loan happen. I mean, I'd feel like the coolest networker ever. But anyway, that's like the meta I hear. But that's good. I really appreciate you guys' input on that. We've reached the time now. We're gonna do the 10-second thingy. So I'm gonna switch around. I tried to end this like a couple different ways as I've been doing it over the last year. I pushed escape, and I don't know what I escaped. But that didn't do what I thought I was gonna do. Switch my. I want to get out of. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna switch my thing back to this guy, and then I will go down. So get half notes. So now we're to the part where we're going to talk about the action asks. And here's the thing of the action ask is I've tried to figure out how to end this before. I did events for a while. Then I did this thing where I was doing kind of like, if you guys have ever done BNI, they have like, and what's your ask? And they have that at the end. And so how the network can like work together and get that thing happening. And I just like, they didn't quite fit like what I'm trying after. But this is like, if there's a 10-second thing you can ask any of us to do in this community, or all of us, that we could do to help you on your quest, then this is the time to do that. So I'm going to give you a little time to think about that and chew over it. What's something you think would take about 10 seconds, give or take 5 minutes, and that you think that people could do to help you. And for me, this is mine. This when I get to know kind of the stuff that you're after and the conversation we're having, that 10-second question you give me gives me a field of, all right, this is the thing that the world wants right now, or at least you do, but you're part of the world. And so it's it kind of helps me kind of focus in on that. So that's my 10-second ask, is tell me what yours is. And I'm going to start with the same way that you guys posted in the chat. So the first one was John. And if you're not ready, I can come back to you.
I'm ready. Find me someone who understands how to sell or what the market would be for leafy green vegetables. And something that we didn't mention today is that those are produced 24 hours, 7 days, or year round. So it's not just winter. That might be a real advantage to a farmer's market where they tend to be seasonal.
So send you a contact that we know of. Is that what you're thinking, or what?
Yes. Who could talk to me about could I actually sell these leafy vegetables once I produced them?
Okay, great. So it's a little networking there. Selling leafy vegetables. That's great. That's a great ask. It's doable. If it's within our grasp, then it's something we simply do. It helps us stretch our brain because we're thinking, all right, so who do we know? I found that when people ask me networking questions, it makes me reach out and talk to someone again. And it's a way of like getting to build up that trust amongst our, our potential clients. But, just in general, in the solidarity spirit, it's like we're building community. So we're all kind of focusing in on the thing that we're going for. Thank you. All right. So selling leafy veggie. So if you guys don't have it already, do you guys have access to his contact info? He posted it on here. I can post it again.
No, I think I joined in too late.
All right, I'm going to post it again. He's got his phone number and his email. And
yeah, and please don't send me text notes. For some reason, my phone doesn't work on that since COVID.
That's too bad. Great. Don't work. And then the next person was, I think, Kobe. Kobe, what's your 10-second ask?
I'm looking for companies that are kind of stagnant. Companies that they may be doing okay, but they're looking to take it to the next level where I can go and really partner with them and form a long-term relationship so that we can help them grow.
That's great. Feel stagnant. Colby with a Y. Okay. Great. And Rob.
I don't try to be too sales pitchy, and I never have, but I'm gonna say today, know anybody who's looking to buy a home, I
There
can
you
do
go.
1 to 4 unit residential real estate.
So wait, what's a 4 unit? What's that about?
1 to 4 units. So 1 unit being a single family home, 2 like a duplex, triplex, quadplex.
Why that in particular? I'm curious.
Do loans up to that. I don't know what the reasoning behind that, the history on why they accepted just that and nothing more. So like a 5 unit, that's commercial, that's not my bag. I don't know why. That's just the regulations. That's the way it is.
Oh, so you're regulated. So you're only allowed to do a certain number.
Yeah. So anything higher than 4 is considered commercial.
But
even
here's
though
the
it's
thing.
like residential homes.
Yeah, here's the thing though, is if someone happens to send someone your way saying, "Oh, I know this guy that seemed pretty knowledgeable and nice, and he's not trying to, just make a buck or something," or not trying to make a disadvantageous buck. I don't know, because I mean, money isn't the bad thing; it's the way we go about it. So unit real estate loan seekers to Rob, and so. I kind of lost my own train of thought there. So you're, even if it's not in that, like if it's for some reason a 5 unit, which I'm not quite sure why someone would be getting that unless they really are, like they're going into apartment renting kind of stuff. But you can explain that in a moment. Okay. Then you could reference them to someone else, and that builds your network. And so that you're building more solidarity amongst your folks, like what's really helping the world, and how can we connect and continue to keep our own homes growing with food on our plates. Yep. So that's cool. So if you guys do know someone that's kind of even thinking about doing rental stuff, you can still send them his way, and that'll make everyone happier. Hopefully, that's the plan. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. And I'm going to try and find or try and mention some people like talking about leafy greens, John, and someone who feels stagnant in their business. Kobe and Rob, I will try and see if there's someone's going to do some real estate stuff. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming. I'll go ahead and flip into my last bits here. So next time is going to be how to bike more. And this is a great segue for me to show what I'm going to do. This is my garage I'm in. It is a work in progress. I'm an organizer, right? So I come into people's spaces and I move stuff around. And I'm using my own garage as a hub for recording and showing how it goes. And there's lots of work. It's come a long ways, but I'm going to kind of rotate my screen here if I can. I've got it set up in a funky way. And this is a big pile of stuff. And actually over here in the corner, I have a bunch of styrofoam that you get just the corner of there. That's the other screen. But up here is a bunch of styrofoam that I just got from someone because I unpackaged something, and they're going to use that styrofoam, or my mother-in-law is going to use that styrofoam to actually do insulation in a room she's building in a barn. And so she's been doing this already, and she loves it when I can bring that. And then also down here, this is my new bike. It's an electric bike, and it's hard to tell, but there's a trailer back there that I can take my 3 girls, well, take 2 girls in there, and then another one sits in the back where that green thing's sitting right now, and to take them to school on the bike. And so that's one of the ways that I bike more. But that's kind of what next topic is going to be about. So be happy to come back and talk about biking and stuff, or any other particular, synergizing of your efforts to make your life better. Let me see here now. I'm going to go to the next thing. I just realized I did that whole view in a little small window here, didn't I? So it was hard to see anything. Oh, well. So thank you for coming, and keep the sparks flowing.
Thank you.
You're welcome, John. Yeah, so that's that. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about as I close up stuff here and turn off the YouTube?
I think I'm good.
Cool. Thanks for coming again, Colby. I'm glad you came back and we actually got to talk